Hello, everybody, and thank you for tuning in to another episode of Bikinis After Babies. I'm so happy that you're here today. I have an amazing guest with me today, someone that I met on my journey this year as I was competing in the Masters Pro League. We are joined by IFBB Bikini Pro Dana Onaga. Dana is a business owner, wife, a mother of five, and a grandmother. Dana has been competing for 5 years and earned her IFBB Pro card at 2024 Masters Nationals in Pittsburgh. Dana just wrapped up her first full season as an IFBB Bikini Pro with numerous top five placings, including first place in the Pro Masters 45 division at the prestigious Chicago Pro. Dana's love for fitness began in her teenage years growing up in Hawaii, where her father introduced her and her brother to weight training. Both Dana and her brother went on to compete in bodybuilding, and Dana has instilled the healthy habits of this lifestyle into her children's upbringing. I'm so looking forward to chatting with her today and learning how she juggles it all while competing at a very high level. Welcome to Bikinis After Babies, Dana Onaga. Yay!
Hi, everyone.
Hi, thank you so much for being here today. I'm really excited to chat with you. I had the pleasure of meeting you this summer as we were competing. So, to help our audience learn a little bit about you, I always like to start with how you got started on your fitness journey.
Well, I've always, like you said earlier, I've always been in the weight training when I lived in Hawaii at a really young age. Actually, I think I started at 13. And when I came into actual bodybuilding, building for aesthetics for specifically bikini, it wasn't till about 2020, going into the COVID era. Like most people, there was that large weight gain that occurred. And I remember telling myself, man, I really need to do something. And my brother, who was actually competing at the time in bodybuilding, he said, hey, why don't you get a coach? And I met my first coach, Lisa, and she kind of helped me through the process of understanding food. That was a big one for me.
Yeah.
Growing up in the 90s, you're told if you want to lose weight, you eat less. And she taught me a whole new world about actually eating more, but eating healthy. From there, my first competition, I needed a goal,
Hmm.
something to achieve, to work for. And so we went ahead with the program, and that's when I took stage. I actually started out my first competition as a wellness competitor.
I saw that. I was going to ask you about that.
A lot. I look predominantly Asian, but I'm actually almost half Portuguese. So I guess you could say I could
Okay.
go either way.
Okay.
Um, so I can put on my lower half of my body. I can put on some muscle pretty easily.
Yeah.
And after going through the process, I really love the look of bikini. I love that it was balanced and that hourglass shape. And that's what we started targeting
Mhm.
after my first show.
Wow.
So I just fell in love with the stage. It's so exciting to see your work just displayed on stage, how far you've come,
Hmm.
the glit, the glam. It's just exciting for me.
It is. Yeah, I could totally agree. I mean, we got to in some way like love the hard part, like the training and like the grit and, all the things that we kind of go through. But it is so like show day is so exciting. It's like a roller coaster of emotions. And, you go out there and, you're like next level glam. Like it's just for anybody who hasn't done it, like I always say, like it's worth it just to do it one time for that experience.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
So I'm curious to know then, had you ever thought about competing before 2020? Like kind of growing up in the gym and like, I'm sure there you met competitors and people that were like, achieving that level of condition. Like had it ever occurred to you that maybe you'd like to do one?
It wasn't until I actually went, I traveled to Vegas to watch my brother compete. And I was like, wow, everyone looks so amazing. And I didn't think that I could do it until I was introduced to it. And going through the entire off season or improvement season to prep, I was like, it's actually not that bad.
Yeah.
A lot of people do struggle in prep. I don't struggle in prep. I actually love the challenge. I don't get the prep hungers and things like that. I just take on the challenge and it's fun
Yeah.
for me.
Yeah. Yeah. That's interesting because I think sometimes, when maybe we're training, but like not sure that like the stage is really for us, or like even just sort of like, well, like, could I even do that? But I think that's great that you use 2020 as an opportunity to kind of go for it. So during 2020, then I'm guessing like there was just like a loss of like good habits and kind of like needing to, get things in shape. What was the like time span from like starting your like, okay, I'm going to compete until you actually got on stage?
I remember New Year's Eve was my cutoff date to when I was going to get serious. So I love the wine before. And I remember my coach, Lisa, at the time, she had explained to me on how bad alcohol is for you. It's not because of the calories. Because I was like, well, vodka and tequila doesn't have any calories. And she just explained to me about how, how it wrecks your metabolism. And she would have preferred me to eat a whole chocolate cake over having a glass of cocktails. So it really put into perspective for me.
Mhm.
And so I want to say I started after New Year's. I had my last celebration, and then we just really we trained together, hit the gym, followed my macros, and I want to say I went on stage. It was the Nevada State Pro, not pro, but it was the Nevada State
Mhm.
competition that I did. My brother and I wanted to do one together.
Yeah.
So we thought it'd be fun, siblings competing together. And so
Yeah.
which it was fun
That's
for sure.
cool. I love that. Is he still competing?
So unfortunately, right after that competition, he and his husband took a trip to Mexico and they got really ill with COVID.
Oh, no.
And yeah, it was a really bad time for them. And
Yeah.
so now their lungs are 80% damaged, so they can't compete anymore.
Oh
They
my
still go to the
gosh.
gym. They still look fantastic.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, they can't do the protocols that it takes to be a competitor.
Yeah.
So he lives curiously
Gosh.
through me.
Yeah.
It excites him
Yeah.
to see me continue on this process. I
Right.
remember because two of my children, they're at the time they were highly competitive dancers, and I remember them asking me, "So, mom, are you going to do nationals?" And I was like, "Oh, well, I don't think I'm quite ready for nationals." And they actually challenged me. They said, "Mom, do you remember our first nationals and we said we weren't ready for a national level, but you pushed us anyways for the experience?" They were like, "You need to do the same."
Oh,
And
girl,
so
I love that.
yeah, so the next year I told my coach, I was like, "Hey, like let's go for nationals and see how I do."
Yeah. That's awesome. I think that that's so cool, like, because I don't know that all kids, like, see this sport as, like, a sport like, mom's an athlete. Right? Like, we're doing all the things, but for them to, like, be like, "Okay, well, like, this is the next challenge," and really believing in you, like, sometimes you need that to even just, like, believe in yourself and kind of go for it, so I love that, that's so great. Well, we're gonna touch on the dance mom life because I know that that is I'm a cheer mom, so I can sympathize with just all of the schedules and everything,
Yeah.
um, but I wanna just, as we're on the topic of competing, talk about, like, that national experience and then road to pro because you're kind of like me in that like you came close like a couple of times like year after year. So I know how hard it is to keep going. So what was that like for you? Like what was the mindset on those seasons?
So I remember my first pro show. Um, I actually didn't do too bad. I was pretty surprised. I was pretty surprised. I believe I took sixth place on my first pro show. And I remember being backstage and we're lining up. And I'm not sure if everyone's familiar, but 40 plus, I had just turned 40 that year.
Uh-huh.
The 40 plus division is so deep. I
Mm-hmm.
remember they lined us up. There was like three lines of us, and I'm staring backstage. I stopped doing that, by the way.
Yeah.
And I was staring backstage, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, everyone looks so good, so fantastic!" And So I went into it 0 expectations, and I was like, "Wow, I did pretty good." I was like 6th place out of, I think there was like either 28 or 30 of us,
Yeah.
and I was like, "That's pretty good." And when I went into my off season, I was like, "I'm gonna go so hard. I wanna do it again."
Mhm.
And I was, like, addicted at that point,
Yeah.
and, I just pushed myself every day at the gym, trying to add on more weights or be more intentional in my workouts to you get your judges' feedback, you know what you need to work on, and just try to achieve those goals as best as you can. Because at the end of the day, it takes time.
Yeah, it does. And it's
Mhm.
sometimes it's your day and you can do everything. I've said this so many times this season, like you can show up and look your best and still like
Yes,
not win and you have to be like okay with that. Like you can't I mean, because there are people who come close so many times and they just give up. And I'm like, "Oh gosh, if you just like went one more time." But I get it, it is hard on everyone around you when you're getting second. I mean, that happened to me. I was like a bridesmaid so many times before I ended up turning pro. But there was just that one day that it all came together and I'm so glad. I'm sure it was the same for you when you finally did get there.
I it's funny that you say that. I remember my 2nd, time attempting at nationals. I came in 2nd twice, one at the North Americans, one at the teen collegiates, and I was like, "I'm always a bridesmaid, never a bride."
Yeah.
But, I mean, if you think about it, like, we still look fantastic. We still look better than we did the year before, and to your point, you kinda have to go into each competition wanting to do your best, and no matter
Mhm.
what, we're gonna look better than we did last year.
100%. If you put in the
Yeah,
work and you have to, like, be able to see that and not feel like you're walking away empty-handed. Because I mean, placing 2nd at nationals is, like it's so good, even though it
it
might not be
is.
the outcome that you want, even top 5 is good, I was at North Americans, because I did the pro show that was attached to it, and I'm sitting in the audience and I'm like, "Would I have turned pro here?" Like, these everybody looks good. Like, literally anyone in, like, the whole class looked like a pro. It was incredible, so impressive. So I think it can be something that you really want, and it's just when it's your time, right?
Right.
Yeah.
The following year, I moved to Vegas, and, something that I know about myself is I need to be in the same state as my coach. Otherwise it's
Okay.
almost like you see those funny reels where, your coach can pass you at any time.
Yeah.
So you wanna make sure you're always on point, whether you're at the gym or, you're out eating and things. So I remember when I moved to Vegas, I started looking into, a local coach, someone I can work with, someone and, I came across my current coach, which is Adam Bonilla with Team
Mhm.
Elite Physique. And, I mean, I used to watch his podcasts and so much information there, and, um, we ended up working together, and that year, I did, the Team Collegiates, and that's where I got my pro card.
Yeah. So that
So
was, like, game changer then, like, being able to, like, see your coach in person and have that extra support and accountability.
correct, yeah, at least for
Yeah.
me. I mean, I know some people can work with coaches remotely. For me, I need my coach in the same state. I I'm not a person who does check-ins, that will take my photos a million times before I send it. I kinda just wake up, look
Yeah.
somewhat decent, I take my photos and my videos, and I submit it in. So it's funny because when I turn it in, you always get your coach's feedback, and when I go in person, Adam's always like, "You always look so much better in person." I was like, To be fair, I don't really take a lot of time in my check-ins.
It's
I guess
hard
you could
though.
say
I
that
mean
I'm a bad athlete at that point.
no. I mean, we have, like, such good technology to be able to do, like, virtual. Because I mean, when I started competing, we didn't have virtual coaching, like, there wasn't any way to, like, send a video even of, like, your posing, but it's still just, like, in person so different, like, because you can just see everything, and I've sometimes like see people in person. I'm like, you're way leaner than you look in your photos, so it
Right?
is like a nice thing. And I think the environment too, like I'm sure like being able to train and like there's so many competitors in Vegas, like there's so many like great gyms. Like I think the environment is like, important too. Like I live in the Midwest, but where I am, it's a competitor gym. It's so motivating. Like there's always people in prep. Like I think that's been like really pivotal, but there's not a lot of coaches in my area. But I just have to move to
It
Vegas like you.
right? In Vegas, there's so many great gyms. I just go to EOS. It's kind of like your commercial gyms, but you can't tell the difference between someone who just does it as a lifestyle or a competitor because everyone looks great.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I know like Miami and like in like Florida, some parts is kind of like that too. It's like, oh, do you compete? Like everyone just looks like they could step on
They're like,
stage.
no, I just here
Yeah.
to work out.
Yeah, that's motivating for sure. So, dance mom life. Like, I know
Yes.
how we all get really into the throes of sports. And I think, like, when your kids are on travel teams and stuff like that, can be really challenging. Like, a lot of my like cheer mom friends are going, I don't know how you do it. I'm like always in prep, like when we're traveling. So, when you first like embarked on your journey to prep for the stage while doing the dance mom thing, like, how did you navigate that? And, like, what were some challenges that you faced?
I definitely had to start looking into the hotels the competitions were at, and I started doing research. What type of gym equipment did the gyms have? If it wasn't a good gym, was there a nearby gym I could work out at?
Mhm.
Was there microwaves in the hotels and things like that? So honestly, scheduling was the biggest thing because comp schedules, kids can start dancing anywhere from 8 a.m. and they don't finish till midnight. And so I started having to pack large coolers just full of my meal preps. If there wasn't an available microwave, game changer was those small little travel skillets.
Mhm.
To warm up all of my food in that. And it was funny because I actually started preparing healthier meals for my children after understanding what it takes to feed an athlete,
Mhm.
especially as many hours as they're dancing to kind of make sure they're fueled as well. And they actually enjoyed it too. They noticed the difference between their energy levels, you know,
Mhm.
really ensuring that they can feel good the entire day while they're competing. But I would say that would be the biggest thing was just preparing for the
Mhm.
competition. And my children, they competed 9 times a year. And at one point, if anyone's familiar with the dance world, they actually assisted in a dance convention. So we were traveling not just with their competition team, but with also that dance convention as well.
Oh, wow. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, it's a lot. And, like, does the season kinda run like, is it all year, or is there, like, a part of it that things? Because for cheer, like, we don't have anything really until, like, about November, and then it runs all the way to, like, May. So I'm almost always, like, prepping towards, like, the end of her cheer season when we're, like, traveling so much, but I just have to figure it out.
Um, their type of program, so there was always nationals. We were always in Vegas for nationals for 2 weeks during the summer. And then when they would get back, they would have about a week break before they would start choreo
Yeah.
for the following year. And then from there, they would just have to dance throughout the days, rehearsals and practices. And I want to say our comp season didn't start till about April.
Okay.
And so for me, finding a competition for myself, I had their schedule already written out. I mean, I had to have a calendar for sure to make sure
Yeah.
nothing was overlapping.
Yeah.
And I typically would just compete on the weekends they weren't competing at.
Yeah. That's kinda just what you have to do, really, is just, like, fit 'em
Right.
in, and I always say to people too, like, I think it's made me, like, more efficient because I don't have the luxury of extra time. Like, you could never give
Yes.
me 2 hours of cardio a day, like, I would not be able to fit it in with driving kids everywhere, and then dance competitions like, cheer, we have to get up and do hair and makeup and go over to the venue and park, and we're there for warm-ups, and we're there all day. Like, if I had to fit in my training plus tons of cardio on, like, such low food, like, it wouldn't happen. So I think that's like another like like pro tip is just like stay on your game because then you're not
Right.
suffering while you're trying to like juggle, because like family always comes first, right? Like so, you know,
Absolutely.
but we do the things, but we don't have to feel terrible if we're just like, more on top of
I
things.
remember there was dance conventions where I would have a short window, so there's no missing that window. I
Right.
would take them to their convention classes, run to the gym, do a workout, and then go watch a if they had a number in between the dance convention, run back to the gym, finish my cardio. So it was very short periods of time, but I did make it work. So
Yeah. That's awesome, and I think, like, your kids are probably seeing you do it too, and, like, I think by the same token, like, eating that healthy food and showing them, like, "Hey, you don't have to, like, go to McDonald's or, like, grab stuff from the vending machine, like, you this is just take it with you," and I think that's a really good thing for kids to learn because then when they start, like, work and everything, they'll be used to, like, packing their lunch and taking their food and you said that your kids kind of they all meal prep for themselves and kind of follow, like, more of a
yes,
healthy eating lifestyle?
I remember when I first started competing, I would literally do my grocery shopping for myself and then, child friendly shopping. And then they started kind of eating my food. And I was like, why aren't you guys eating your guys' own food that I got for you guys? And they're like, well, mom, don't you want us to be healthy too? And I was like, of course I do. And so because they started eating the same types of food, I just started shopping one way, which kind of worked out in my favor.
Yeah, that definitely saves
Now,
time.
yeah, my daughter Chloe, she's in college, and I remember her when she was in the dorms, cooking wasn't as easy for her, so she did have a microwave. We did sneak in a little air fryer. But, I had to help her now because she likes eating healthy because now she's on dance team, so
Yeah,
she's continuing on being an athlete, so eating healthy is really important. And so I
yeah.
would help her in her groceries. It's funny because she'll send me photos of her meals that she eats. She was like, "Look, mom, are you proud of me? Look at what I'm eating." Or she'll do grocery hauls on FaceTime with me to tell me all the healthy food she's gotten.
Yeah, I
And
love
then my
that.
other dancer, Ashton, he as well does meal prepping and so when he comes over and he's eating some of my meal preps, I'm like, whatever you do, don't eat the last two meal preps.
Yeah. It happens to me all the time. I'm like, "Oh my gosh, it's all gone," like, especially all the protein. My son eats a ton of protein, and I'm like, "Well, that's great. I have to prep everything again," but I mean, it's okay. I wanna support him and all of that, but, they
Right.
teenage boys eat a lot for sure.
Yes, they do.
Yeah.
It's just about, like for me, I'm just like, don't eat make sure, like, we thaw out more meats or
Mhm.
I need to go grocery shopping so that way, because the last thing when you're in prep or even in your improvement season, you don't want to be left without food, because then you start reaching for things that are not necessarily the healthiest.
Yeah, absolutely. I think like having things on hand, like a backup plan, like if you're out of rice, well, you have oatmeal or you have something like there's just always something so that you're not sort of like high and dry and like, okay, well,
Mhm.
there's nothing but cereal to eat or whatever.
Right. One of my favorite competitors is Laura Lee. And
Hmm.
I remember watching one of her podcasts, and she talked about as a competitor, a huge game changer is always making sure you have frozen items available because if you just need to microwave it. And so I always ensure I have healthy frozen options so that way it's you're never in that situation where you end up you're like, well, I'm just going to eat the kids' food, but just get the calories in, or you
And
miss
I
a
think,
meal.
like, that's the same thing for traveling too, because, like, sometimes it's late when we get back from, like, an event or something, and if I'm like, "Oh, I have to find this," like, or, my daughter's like, she's hungry, like, we always have food in our hotel room, like, we've prepared, we have extra things, and I think it's, like, such a time saver too, because sometimes we're wiped out. Last thing we wanna do is, like, sit at a restaurant and, like, wait for someone to take our order so we can get food that maybe we don't even love. So I think it's not only like, saves time, but it saves money too. It's great for the budget, I think, like just being prepared and having those things on hand and feeling good too. Because when you've got to keep up with your family, you don't want to be, feeling sluggish. I think people expect us to not eat this way when the show's over. Like I don't know if you've picked up on this, but my season just ended and it's sort of just like, what are you eating? And I'm like the same stuff. Like it's all year
Right,
round,
the
right?
same but more.
Yeah. Yeah. Basically. Yeah.
I've been on off season, I think, for about a month and a half. So this improvement season is a little different than I had last season. So I'm kind of having a little fun with it. So my
Okay.
coach, he said, you're gonna get X amount of calories in your calorie bank. So it kind of makes it fun. It's like, bank account.
Yeah.
And I can spend it how I want to. And I was like, oh, this is different and new.
That's cool. So what are the different
It is.
ways you can spend it?
Essentially, I get a savings of calories and I can eat it however which way I want to,
Okay. So like
which is a
daily
little
little
different.
treats or like do you have like a big cheat or like how do you like to do it?
So my first week of starting that, I tried to break it off a little each day, and I found it was harder to calculate and keep track of it.
Hmm.
So, what I am liking is either eating those calories in one day or breaking it up in two. I tried to do it in one day and I found it a little harder because I'm like, that's a lot of extra calories on top of the food I'm already eating.
Yeah.
Especially coming out of prep, your stomach has shrank so much, so you can't really take on that much calories. So
Yeah.
I found splitting it up in two days is a lot easier for me.
Yeah, I think that's really smart too, because then you have like sort of like those 2 days during the week where you have that like, surplus of energy for, training and needing to go heavy like we do in our building phase.
Yes.
So that's nice. I also think like for me having one huge cheat meal like takes me a hot minute to adjust. Like a couple days afterwards, I'm kind of still like not my digestion's not great. And I'm like, I don't know. That's nice for like if it's something really specific, but I think splitting it up is probably like pretty smart. You probably feel pretty good too doing that.
Right. I mean, if I'm not craving anything specific for the week, I'll just take on more volume. Maybe it be more rice or
Mhm.
more protein. My husband's having a little more fun with it because now we can eat at restaurants that we typically wouldn't eat.
Yeah. That's awesome. Live a little bit, kind of like, go out and just enjoy a little bit. And you had mentioned, we were talking about this last week, that when you first said that you were going to do this, he said something to you that was like very impactful and it has like completely helped you with your mindset and how you view prep. So would you like share that with our listeners?
For sure. I remember coming home and I said, honey, I really want to lose weight and start this health journey. And I said, I think the only way I can do it is if I compete. I need a goal to search for. And he's kind of familiar with how the bodybuilding industry kind of can work behind the scenes. And I remember he says, I want you to remember this. This is your journey, your goal. So make sure that I'm not forcing family to change the way they eat or their lifestyle because of something that I'm choosing to do as a hobby, right? And it really stuck with me because now, I mean, like people always say, "Oh, I'm so sorry for eating this in front of you," or "Oh, does this bother you if I'm having this cocktail or eating this burger and fries?" And I was like, "Actually, it doesn't."
Yeah.
Um, because of that. So in the beginning, everyone in my family kind of ate the way that they typically eat, and I would eat my healthy meals. I mean, I would giggle inside. I'm like, I hope you guys get diarrhea, but okay. Jokes
Yeah.
aside, but yeah, because of that, I every time I would see in the beginning anyways, I would see someone eat something that I wish I could have or I would like to have eaten also. I just remember I'm like, you know what, this is my goal and my journey.
Yeah.
And because of that, I've adapted and I can be around anyone eating anything at any time, regardless of what time of my prep.
Yeah.
And even towards the end, when calories get pulled out, maybe you're not at your full energy capacity. I just look at those certain foods and I tell myself, you know what? If I really want that, I can eat that, as my celebrating meal after.
Mhm.
And it kind of like gets me excited, to be honest.
Yeah. I think that's like such a a powerful, like, mindset shift, though. Like, I don't know if well, like, I was competing in my 20s, and I just don't think I had the maturity really to, like, feel that way, but I think now that's sort
Yeah.
of like that's where I'm at with it too. It's like it really doesn't bother me for other people to eat these things, but I feel like that's also, like, something that is almost necessary to, like, continue to do this at such a high level because you just can't put that much value in food. Like, it's there, it's not going
Yeah.
anywhere. We still love it. It's not like I don't love burgers and whatnot, but I'm not gonna tell
Mhm.
somebody, like, "Go eat that in the other room," like, I'm prepping for a show, like, it's just not something like we would say, you know? But I think it's hard in the
Right,
beginning
right.
for a lot of people, like, you know, you're a mom and you made a bunch of cupcakes and, you know, you gotta clean everything up, like, yeah, it's not easy, but I think you can really, like, get your mind to a place where it doesn't bother you and you just, "Okay, like, when the show's over," and then I also find too, like, when I can have anything, I, like, don't even really want very much, like
Right? You end up not wanting it because you think about it, you're like, "Gosh, is my stomach gonna get upset if I eat this?" You
yeah, you're,
know,
like, a little
or
more
how
careful.
right? Like you said earlier, it's like, is my digestion like, am I gonna be able to digest all this red meat that I didn't have for the past 12 weeks?
Yeah, 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 definitely, you're definitely just I know, and I think things don't have as much of appeal, like, when you can have them, it's like you can have anything, and you're just like, "Okay, well" I know, and I have a hard time choosing, so sometimes I'm like, "I can't think of it, somebody else pick, it doesn't matter. Whatever you guys
Right,
wanna I don't care."
right.
Yeah,
Well, plus to it and because of that statement he made, it's so funny. People tell me all the time at the gym, they're like, "I like, when are you competing?" They're like, "Why are you so happy? Aren't you supposed to be grouchy and upset?" I was like, "No." I was like, "I look fantastic. Why would I be upset about it?"
yeah, yeah, exactly. Well, nobody likes a grumpy prepper, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
And this is something that we love, so not to say that it's easy, but I think you could definitely be, like, in a grumpy mood and it ruins your whole day, but if you just try to have a positive attitude and appreciate the fact that you get to do something that you love, like, that's just a feeling that I felt really all summer is just, like, I feel so lucky to be here, like, this is so incredible, like, I'm around these amazing women and, you know, everybody
Mhm.
is, you know, achieving goals and it's I don't know, it's just it's amazing. Who wouldn't love to be there, you know?
Right, and, I think back to, like, my brother who's a person who can't compete anymore, so
Yeah.
I'm really grateful that I am able to compete. I'm healthy enough to compete, and I
Yeah,
don't take that for granted at all.
yeah, 100%.
Mhm.
I think also, like, to add to that too, like, being in our 40s, you know, I think, like, it's an additional sort of, bonus that we get to do this, because I mean, the narrative around us and just, like, the general population is like, "Oh, I just can't lose weight, and it would be too hard for me to do this because of I have children, or I've had C-sections, or I'm in my 40s." So what do you say when you hear that? And then do you feel like being in the bodybuilding space has kind of helped you to feel like more in control of your own health and your body?
Oh, for sure. I a lot of times, you'll hear women, like you said, they'll be like, "Well, I'm in my 40s," or "I have children," and there is a lot of anyone can use a lot of excuses or any type of obstacles. Everyone faces those things. And I think that if it is a priority for a person, I mean, as when we make it happen, there's so much complexity of being a mom, being a working person, whether you have a spouse or a boyfriend or a significant other. I mean, I think that anything we want to do in life, if we set that as a priority, it definitely is achievable for sure. Um, but I mean, I do get asked questions a lot. I don't know if the same for you. Everyone's always asking, like, like, what do you eat? What can you eat? What can't you eat? Type of scenario. And it's funny. My mom always asks me, she goes, "Sweetie, when you come over, what can you eat? What do you want me to make?" And I was like, "Well, I can eat anything as long as it's when it's healthy, it's not too high fat." But I try
Right.
not to inconvenience my mom. And I'm like, "Mom, don't worry about it. You cook whatever. Make my own food."
Yeah. No,
But
absolutely. But yeah, I imagine like, you know, especially like 5 kids that you're running around after and you're a grandma too. So I'm sure people are like, "Wait, no way. Like how do you manage? How do you get all that done?" But I think that that's, you know, one of the most beautiful things about this is like it is we what we do is it's extreme. We're in these tiny bikinis and, all these muscles and the beautiful glitz and glam and everything. But I get the sense that that is for you like the icing on the cake and that you enjoy like being able to, show people that it's possible and really just enjoy that day and celebrate it all.
Right. Like being a grandma, I want to be able to be have the energy to do everything with my grandchildren, especially as they get older. I don't want to be a grandma that has so many health restrictions or so many restrictions where I can't walk around Disneyland because I'm not in shape. So I do like the idea of staying in shape so as they get older, I can continue to do things with them and play with them. It's funny because I mean, my whole family, we all have a lot of energy. There's never a time where someone is not at a high level of energy in our household. We have a very loud household. And so when I do have my grandchildren, I mean, I just try to wear them out as much as possible,
Yeah.
chasing them around the house.
Being a grandma is your something that you're very proud of and something that keeps you really busy. So, what does that like schedule look like with prepping and running a family business and then taking care of grandbabies and all the things?
Right. So, usually, I wait for my son and my daughter-in-law's schedule to come in, and I have a calendar in my fridge to make sure we don't miss anything. And from there, after I write down their schedules, I write down what days I'm going to the gym, will be my rest days. Um, Now, if I'm in prep, that's where the cardio gets bumped up. I I have made it where I do have a gym in my garage. It was my Mother's Day gift. My husband asked what I wanted. So it's a full Smith machine, cable machines. I have dumbbells, you name it, I have it in there. And I have 2 cardio machines.
Oh, perfect.
So if I have to watch them for a long period of time, I'll usually do 1 cardio in the morning if I am doing double cardio because I have stubborn fat for that competition. I usually will put my grandchildren in the double stroller. So that's like, I think 60 pounds. And I just haul around the neighborhood
Yeah. I bet they
and
love
I
that
just set
too.
the timer. They do love that actually. They love their strolls with grandmas.
Yeah. I love it. So you mentioned that you are in your improvement season. Would
Yes.
you mind sort of like sharing like judges' feedback that you've received and then like what you're working on towards for your next show season?
So in the 4 shows I competed in this year, collectively it was glute density. And so just a smidgen more. They said my I came in lean enough. Um, so that was good. Finally, my shoulders have gotten to where they need to be. That was the hardest for me
Yay.
to grow when I first started. They were non-existent.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I feel really good about this improvement season and putting on the density. Last year it was the upper outer glutes and
Mhm.
that was kind of my focus last year. So this
Yeah.
year's on the density.
Yeah. That's good because that's just the shape is there. Just, add some of that density, which I swear is like a new word. Like, I don't even think 2 years ago that was ever in the feedback, or maybe just, I don't know, I think it's just different when you're, gunning for that pro card and trying to get there. I talked about this with another girl. We were talking about like our pro seasons and just how different the feedback was on the road to pro. And then when you're in the pro league, how it's it's one tiny thing or one thing and density kind of like I feel like comes up a lot. Like a lot of girls I talk to, that's like been their feedback this season. So so that's I mean that's very doable, right? That's like within reach. It's like okay,
I feel like
just
it's within reach for sure. Um,
yeah.
I remember when I started competing this season, I always have my husband video for me so I can just reflect back on comparisons. That's my favorite thing to watch. And seeing, you know, the for the person who took first place, I'm like, okay, like where's her physique at? And really the number one thing I would notice the difference is that 3D glute, that
Mhm.
pop. And I definitely think that's something where, you know, as a newer pro, that's where we have to kind of like aim towards.
Yeah, yeah, that's I think the best way to sort of explain it is that, like, 3D, like, that
Right.
density, and then I think additionally, like, being masters, like, that helps keep, like, the skin and everything, like, where it needs to be and, keeping that fullness. Because I feel like it's sort of a given that we're conditioned, like, that's, like, an expectation, you know? It's, like, these other, like, minor details. Because I think as much as we're all so different, like, all the girls were all different heights, like, everyone has different,
Yes.
years of experience. I still feel like there's a lot of similarities, so it's just comes down to those, like, little details, which can make you a little crazy, but I think it's also cool to get the feedback and, and I don't know if that was what your experience was this year because you did 4 shows, I did 5 shows, so, what was your, like I'm curious to know, like, your strategy for this season. Like, of course, you're probably like me and we're hoping to qualify for Tokyo, but, like, it's also data collection, right?
Right. Right. So this season, I knew for we Adam and I, we kind of game planned it. We knew for sure we wanted anywhere between a 6 to 8 month improvement season to achieve. So I'm not sure if I shared with you. So right after getting my pro card, um, we decided I was going to jump on stage right away to kind of
Yeah,
collect data of how far off was I from some of the other Masters Pro competitors, which I didn't do too bad. That show was the Rising of Phoenix. I
yeah,
ended up taking third. I had zero expectations because I'm like, let me just see where I stand.
yeah,
But it was really good data that we're able to collect,
mhm,
and we decided 6 to 8 months was a good improvement season for me, and that's how we decided what show I was going to do.
yeah,
Um, And then just kind of like spreading it out to ensure one, it fits with the family schedule, and two, um, I like to look for competitions that are not too far away from where I have to fly out of.
yeah.
I'm not a fan of connect flights. I like direct flights, especially when you're packing frozen food. You don't want your food to thaw out and get spoiled and have to worry about finding food at that location.
Yeah, or,
So
like, losing your luggage on that connecting flight is, like,
right, or
stressful
losing the
thought. Like, on the way home, I don't care, but on the way there, I'm like, "It all has to get there." But,
right,
yeah,
yeah,
travel is,
exactly.
like it poses, like, a different challenge, and I know, like, being out in Vegas, like, that's a big difference to, like, go to Florida and compete. It's, like, a different climate, like, total different time change. Like, was that a struggle at all, like, in, peaking and traveling and competing?
Right. Couple of the shows I did, it was very humid. And luckily, my coach, he's familiar with different atmospheres, and he was like, "Hey, this is going to be a really humid state, so we're going to just lean you out a little more, just in
Yeah.
case you retain water." So, you know, I honestly, I just put my full trust in my coach, and I just trust the process. So whatever he says, that's what I do.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that
I just
helps for
execute.
sure. Because there are so
Yeah.
many little variables, and I think that probably there's a lot of people just trying to wing it and not thinking about these things,
Right.
but it does like, I flew from St. Louis, which is, like, pretty humid, to Denver, and it was super dry, like, so dry, but I gave myself, like, a few extra days just to kind of acclimate and kind of deal with the altitude and all of that, but, I mean, I unfortunately had a coach that was like, "We need to be mindful of X, Y, and Z," and, there's all these different things to kinda think about, but I still think it's fun to have the adventures and, meet different people and get in front of different judges and whatnot too. So,
Right. Actually, Republic of Texas was supposed to be my last show,
okay.
but after getting the judge's feedback, um, that judge was like, "You're too close." He was like, "You got to keep going." He was because I was trying to qualify for Masters Olympia, and I had gotten second at that show, and he was like, "You got to keep going." And I was like, "Okay."
Yeah.
And my coach said the same thing. He was like, "You need to keep going. You're so close." And I was like, "Okay." And that one was a week later. So I was actually more concerned about my tan.
Yeah.
Like, what is my tan gonna look like? Do I over scrub? Do I under scrub? What do I do?
Do I just leave it? I don't know. Maybe it's
Do I
a
just leave
base.
it? I
Yeah.
actually asked the tanning girls when I went for I had asked my tanning girls when I was getting gloss. I was like, "Hey, I think I might compete, next week. What should I do?" And they helped me through that, and that was
Yeah.
that was really helpful.
So what did you do? Did you have to just scrub it all and get a fresh slate?
No, they actually said, don't over scrub. To When I do wash, just try to keep it as even as possible. Is what they
Okay.
said.
Yeah, because I
They
guess you
said
could, like,
over scrubbing would cause you to get extra dry,
yeah,
and it will cause for the tan to get really patchy, and
yeah,
your skin won't absorb it. So that was such a helpful tip for sure.
yeah. Because I could see if you scrubbed, like, the heck out of yourself, like, could even, like, cause little abrasions on your skin, and
Right.
so the tan picks up everything, like, it really does, but that's awesome. So, what is your goal moving forward? We don't actually know, unless maybe you have some information I don't have, about the 2027 Masters Olympia. I'm gonna assume we're
Right.
having one because we had Romania and then we had Tokyo, but I haven't seen anything, so I don't know when it is, I don't know where it is, but
Right. And I did see some gals who I think they competed after the qualifications, and they got the
yeah,
I'm qualified for 2027. So I'm assuming there's one in 2027. I
yeah,
really wish there was every year, just because, we're kind of racing the clock. So I was
yeah.
hoping that they would start, because there is so many women who are trying to get to Masters Olympia. You would think that they would do it every year, but I'm not sure.
I
That's more
really
hope.
wish they would because for a lot of reasons, like you said, like because we're like racing the clock, like 2 years from now is, I'm 47 at that point. And not to say I don't like to use my age as a number, but like just fact remains like life changes too.
Right.
My kids are all getting older. There's a lot of things going on. But then I think too, like a lot of women, what I was seeing through the summer is like they're showing up at the shows leading into the Masters Olympia, wanting to warm up, get feedback. And then there aren't as many Masters Pro shows as there are open pro shows. So it's like, it just makes it like really like tough. And then, I think if somebody were to qualify like today, what if they're not competing in 2 years? Right. So
Oh,
then I
right.
think about that too. And then my other thing, I have a lot of thoughts about this, but like, why does it have to be so far away? Like, I think it's amazing that it's in these beautiful places that we would all love to travel. But like, I mean, if you got your qualification in Chicago, like, you would have had to basically like turn on and leave like 5 days later to go to Tokyo. Like, it's pretty hard to like throw that together like at the last minute, right? So I think like, I'd love to see it be just a smidge closer to America.
Right. Like, can we just add an extra day to regular Mr. Olympia for us masters?
Yeah, why not? I don't
Throw
see
us in
why
with the
not.
amateurs
I
the same day as
know.
the amateurs.
I know. I mean, there's just so many Masters Pro, like every Masters Pro show I did this year was so big. And, there's so many amazing athletes. And then I think too, like, they've got to figure out if they're going to do a 50. And I think they should, because I think there's so many amazing athletes that are, in their 50s. And not to say that it's hard for them to compete in the 40, but like it's different. Like, and I think that it was so exciting this year. Everybody had something to work towards. Like before there was a Masters Olympia, it was just kind of like, well, like, what do you do once you get your pro card? Like just compete for fun? So like I think it's
Right.
made it so exciting. And I know for sure that if they did it every year, it would be, just as exciting. So I don't know. I've
I
got to get
agree.
someone to hear what we have to say.
For Masters Olympia, if you're
If you're
listening,
listening to
if
Bikinis
you're
After
listening, bring
Babies,
it back every year.
please.
Sign us up.
Yeah. Well, before we wrap up today, I would like to ask you some questions that we always ask our
Sure.
special, amazing, talented guests. My first question is, what keeps you going? When you get overwhelmed and the pressure feels like a lot and your calendar is super full and you're tired, what is it that keeps you going on this journey?
I think what keeps me going is making it to the finish line. There's nothing worse than doing a race and not finishing. So I think the finish line is what keeps me going.
I love that.
And yeah,
And I think as having kids that are athletes too, I think that's an important thing for them to see. Like, we don't give up when it gets hard, we just keep going.
absolutely not. When you have children, they look up to you, and you want to be a great example to your children, and not just your children, but your peers, showing others like don't give up when things get hard, you know, to just
Yeah.
keep going.
Yeah. I love that. I really do. I think that that's the key to success and also just to like enjoying it too. Cause I think if you bail on your goal, like you're really just quitting on yourself, and that's, you know, not
There's
good for
nothing
things.
worse than regret.
Yeah, exactly. 100%. And then my last question is what is your number one tip for juggling it all?
Number one tip, if you have a spouse or partner, or if you're married, is don't put everything into just competing. You have to take time for the people in your life, whether that's eating out. If you're on prep, you still can eat out. You might have to be selective of where you can eat out. If there's a wedding, a party, or a dance competition to go to, like, don't miss out on those things because
Mhm.
that's what's going to make your prep suck.
Yeah.
Is feeling like you missed out on creating family memories with your friends. So still have and enjoy those things.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
love that. I think that's such a good tip. It really is. Because then you're also not coming out of prep and just like thrust back into the real world and, you haven't done anything other than just like train and sleep for, the last like however many months. So I love
Yeah.
that. That's the key to
Yeah.
happiness too. Awesome. Well, I've loved sitting down and chatting with you today. Can you share with our audience how they can reach you or find you on social media?
I am on Instagram and you can find me. It's Dana's underscore life.
I love that.
It's more than just bodybuilding. I throw a lot of videos of my children and my grandchildren. That's
Yeah.
why it's called my life.
I love it. And you had shared like recently, like a transformation of just kind of like where you started and where you are now. And I think that that's so neat to see like somebody's evolution as you continue to evolve. We're excited to follow your journey. So thank you so much for being here today.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Yes. Thank you everybody for listening. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share with a friend. And we will see you next time.
Bye.